with the new All or Nothing, a season with the LA Rams, I thought it would be appropriate for me to give a prediction on where Jeff Fisher's next coaching job will be. Now, most people would say he would be a defensive coordinator, and I just don't think that's as fun as picking which head coaching job you'll get. Now, there is a chance that you probably won't get a new head coaching job. At the same time, though, hear me out about his next coaching job. I think it will be the New Orleans Saints because the issue is with Sean Payton. Sean Payton is a great offensive mind, but defensive mind, he's very lackluster. And offensively, over the past few years, he hasn't been as great as he usually is. Don't get me wrong, he's fantastic on the offensive side of the ball, but at the same time, though, they're not really winning football games with that great offense, and a lot of times their offense feels as if it's getting a lot of their yardage in garbage time, their points in garbage time, so on and so forth, because they get buried so often. And so I feel it would be great so you put Jeff Fisher there just to help someone on the defense because in the past 3 years, that Saints defense has been terrible, absolutely horrendous. Partially the reason why the defense went from being great and a fearsome defense to now the one of the laughing stock defenses in the league was simply because of Malcolm Jenkins. Malcolm Jenkins early on for the New Orleans Saints, I thought did a very good job, but for some reason they just weren't impressed with it. Maybe Malcolm Jason wasn't best at coverage, but I look at that. Coverage just takes time in the NFL, where you could just become average as a coverage guy. And ideally, Malcolm Jason fits them perfectly. He's a hard hitter, gets picks, he moves around a lot. And Malcolm Jenkins himself learned from Darren Sharpner. Darren Sharpner, he's the man that's in prison for 20 years of rice. He's serving like 14 more years in prison. And when you look at Malcolm Jenkins, he was homegrown. But instead, they let Malcolm Jenkins go and they signed Jerry's Bird. And Jerry's Bird is now out of a job in the NFL versus Malcolm Jenkins made the top 100 and is a stud safety on the Philadelphia Eagles. So when I look at this, that's just a terrible personnel move and whatnot. And then they're not taking as much opportunities as they could. Bill Belichick and Sean Payton are really good friends, and there are some players, really good defensive players, that Sean Payton could have gotten. Look at Jamie Collins' previous trade deadline. They traded him away for a third-round pick. The Saints could have gave like a third and a sixth-round pick, and Bill Belichick would probably do that because him and Sean Payton are friends. And also, in 2016, a little bit before the draft, Chandler Jones was traded for a second-round pick. Second-round pick was held by the Arizona Cardinals. The Saints had more than enough assets to get Chandler Jones. Imagine if you had Cam Jordan and Chandler Jones in the same pass rush. That would be insane. And when it comes to winning Super Bowls and whatnot, I look at it, you need to have a quarterback and you need to have a pass rush. I think those are two formulas you need. Or at least a quarterback that can lead and then elite defense. For the most part, good quarterback, pass rush is usually the formula that will win you the Super Bowl. Not all the time. I know the 2015 Denver Broncos are an example, but hey, Peyton Manning was a leader there, and they also had elite defense. So there's some things that you have to contribute there. Now, when I look at this, the New Orleans Saints had just made really bad personnel moves, that did a bad job drafting and whatnot. So just bad GMing is the reason why their defense fell down. So if you bring in Jeff Fisher, he can actually bring something there and play that more physical play. The only reason why they might not hire Jeff Fisher is simply because of what happened with Bounty Scandal in 2012. Because when it comes to Bounty Scandal, Jeff Fisher is notorious for having teams that hit past the whistle. And when I look at this, I really feel that they don't want to be caught doing Bounty Scandal again. Because if they get a second punishment for that, it's much worse. Look at the New England Patriots. When they got Spygate, they just lost a first-round pick. But then during Deflategate, they lost a first-round pick, and then they had Tom Brady suspended for 4 games. So they're definitely trying to. It's the second punishment is definitely going to be much harder. And that's what it naturally is. If you look at A-Rod when he's first caught taking steroids, got a 50-game suspension. His second suspension, or second time he was caught, was a 211-game suspension. So that's just how it works in sports about where players about punishments. Second offense is much worse punishment than the first offense. So that's the one reason why they might not hire Jeff Fisher. Overall, I think they should still take a look at Jeff Fisher and look at new coaching opportunities and whatnot, because that defense could be so much more dominant. But the fact is, it's bad GMing on the most part for it. But when I also look at it, if they ever need a new head coach, you go with Jeff Fisher. Now, obviously, Sean Payton has won a Super Bowl versus Jeff Fisher has not, but sometimes you need a coaching switch. I think a lot of people in 2013, 2014, 2015 would say John Fox was a better coach than Gary Kubiak. But the reason why once John Fox left, they brought in Gary Kubiak was simply because they just needed to form the offense. John Fox plays a lot more aggressively than Gary Kubiak. He plays more bootleg, more play action, runs the ball a lot more. And when I look at that, even though I think John Fox is a better coach, they brought in Gary Kubiak just to switch. So I think Sean Payton is better than Jeff Fisher. But I definitely look at the Saints and they need a more defensive-minded culture right there, just to bring back the physicality. And Jeff Fisher will definitely bring back the physicality. And when I look at this, it's not all on Sean Payton's fault why he might get fired in the future. A lot of it's on the GMing, but every once in a while, you need a culture change.